We ask that speakers identify themselves and their home district. We also ask that your comments are limited to 3 minutes in order to provide equity to all speakers and to ensure our meeting is reasonable in length. If you have more information that can be summarized in 3 minutes, please provide leave behind materials for the board to review. The moderator will ask you to conclude your remarks as time has elapsed. If you have questions during this session, you may ask for clarification from your school board member or school administrator after the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming. Before we have adoption of the agenda, we're initially going to be making a change to the agenda to move item 4.2, which is the remarkable spotlight, RCHS, to a position 2.6 and adjusting everything from 2.6 down. So is there a motion to adopt that agenda with that modification? Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Bynum and a second from Ms. Proven. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. So ordered. The next thing on our agenda then is Ken, our school liaison.
All right, good evening. We had a successful homecoming week complete with a football game victory and an Enchanted Forest homecoming dance with a record-breaking attendance. Our 8th and 9th grade students enjoyed a experience at Shenandoah University. During the event, students moved through 10 different industry sectors, work worlds, and participated in brief hands-on activities. More than 70 businesses showcased equipment, vehicles, and machinery that students could climb into, fix, and manipulate. Lee Bernstein and the Paul team celebrated Virginia College Application Week. This week provides a structured opportunity to assist seniors in applying to at least one post-secondary institution with no application fees. Jenny Capsa and the Paul team hosted senior mock interviews with our current English classes. We celebrated Hispanic Heritage Week with an informational science trivia and prizes throughout the month of October. In sports, our football team finished with its best season yet, going 6-5, earning the first winning season and postseason playoff appearance in school football history. Our varsity girls football team are the regional champions and are headed to the first round of states this Saturday night at RCHS at 6 p.m. Cross country is headed to states this weekend too. Our Virginia College Advisory, Lee Bernstein, is hosting FAFSA Week this week by supporting parents and seniors through the financial aid process through informative workshops and one-on-one assistance. Our 8th graders also have the opportunity to explore the profile of the graduate's 5 C's: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, and citizenship. At Verdun Adventure Bound on Monday. Tomorrow, our 9th graders will have the same amazing opportunity. The senior class is working hard to fundraise for their upcoming senior trip. Hunks and Hills was a huge success, trust me. And we are also holding an art auction this Thursday night at 7 p.m. All are encouraged to come. The class of 2020 is excited to dedicate our new Panther Garden outside of the gym on Thursday evening as well as 6:30 p.m. Be sure to check out the beautiful mural, new landscaping and benches. I totally recommend that. I can't believe this is my second to last meeting. Me and Mr. Stewart are reviewing names of the final candidate that will replace me. I will have more to say about my experiences in the position next month. For right now, I'm enjoying spending my Tuesday evenings with you all. Thank you very much.
Anybody have any questions for Ken?
What's the destination for the senior trip you mentioned? We have recently changed our destination. We were originally supposed to go on a cruise, but the given time period, we weren't able to raise enough money by then. So we did change it to Universal Park, but I'm pretty sure we kind of scheduled it near like a spring break date. So hopefully by the next best option is Disney. You can't go wrong with that. But I'll definitely take that because I've never been. All right.
Thank you, Ken. Always very informative. Thank you. All right, spotlight. I guess we're going to start out with
Yes, Mr. Stewart,
Mr. Stewart.
this is your remarkable spotlight from the high school.
I deserve this. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, Madam Superintendent, Madam Clerk, fellow members of cabinet, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, school board, Madam Superintendent, it is my high honor and distinct pleasure to introduce you to our 2022 varsity football team here at Rappahannock County High School. The football team has been featured. I'm a hold it.
Hold it.
The football team have been featured recently in the Rappahannock News, which is our local newspaper. Along with the article was a beautiful 7-minute video that highlighted not only the work of the football team, but the inception of 8-man football here in Rappahannock County. It was not an easy decision. It was not a popular decision, but the administration, our division superintendent, we wanted to preserve football in this county for young people in the future. And I think we've done that. The remarkable spotlight tonight will be our football team. I would like to ask the coaches and the players led by former Beat Burks, yes, that is his nickname, Beat, to come forward and share as many remarks as possible about these young men, their season, the mentorship that happens in the classroom, outside the football field, and this season. Coach Burks. Boy, this is where you clap. I don't know how this works exactly. I wasn't expecting to have a speaking part tonight. Eight-man football was better than no football. I think was one of the remarks that I made in an interview earlier in the year. And we struggled the last couple of years with numbers, attendance. And Coach Atkins and I had gone a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, to the VHSL office in December to an informational meeting to 8-man football, and we got a little bit of information. So it's always kind of on the back burner over the last maybe 3 years or so now. And I remember walking to our office one day. I don't know if we had 10 kids at practice one day. And I just knocked on the door. I said, we got to go 8-man. I said, let's figure out what we got to do. Let's go 8-man. So we got the ball rolling to get more information. And we didn't really let the cat out of the bag as to everything we were looking into, I guess, at that point. I did a lot of stuff on my own, looking around through the country and other schools. I had a coach in the Midwest that I talked to briefly, and it worked out for us. We got into the VISFL league, in contact with those guys, and they were nice enough to let us in and get things moving earlier this year. And I don't know how much resistance the guys really had once we talked about it. They were pretty positive about it, and I think where we are right now, we're all in. The boys work really hard. Just this group of guys I've had for the last few years have been great. Didn't ask a bunch of questions as far as why do I need to do this, do that. They just want to get after it. And this year, coaches, we got together and we implemented where we have a team theme each week. It just be a word of the week: grit, honor, effort, integrity, different things. And the boys, I think they got on board with that pretty early. It's really nice as a coach when you hear those guys kind of telling other players and people those things that you've been giving to them. So, we're really happy about that. We've You know, I got that from years ago coaching before coming to Rappahannock. And we're just want to keep building on it. You know, we're working to get more attendance. We're going to lose 5 seniors this year. Out of the 20 that we had on the roster, we've got a good solid handful of 8th graders that we expect to come up, a handful of other upperclassmen that are coming back that they may have set up for a couple of years possibly. We're going to send 2 of the guys, Ryan Campbell and Hayden Milan. We're going to go play the senior All-Star game in North Carolina in a couple of weeks down in Goldsboro. I don't know how many people know that yet. I submitted to the league nominations for the all-conference team today. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll know, you know, how many guys and who may have made that. You know, couldn't have done it without those guys, period. The coaches that I have, I'm really appreciative of. Coach Stevens has been here as long as the school's been up, I think. And he's seen everything, so I kind of defer a lot of stuff when I have questions. And, you know, I've leaned on him a lot the last few years, so I appreciate Coach a lot. Coach Lillard is my other coach. I brought him on this year. That he was here a couple of years ago as a player, and he's been really good for the guys. So he's kind of our bridge between a couple of us old guys and the youth that we have. So yeah, I'm really excited for the guys. They're great. One of the things that we got down to toward the end, we were banged up. We had a lot of injuries that were starting to build up, just nagging stuff. We lost a couple of guys to season-ending injuries. And of course, the sickness hit us really hard the last few weeks. So getting guys to practice and being able to really do what we wanted to do was difficult at times. But the boys, our young men, they didn't want to not finish what we started. So, you know, hats off to them. I found out today, Coach Stevens and I were talking to we could have easily just called BES last week and said, we can't come, we don't have enough. But we got on the bus, we answered the bell like we talked about. We show up, we do what we're supposed to do, and we finish. And we found out, today we found out that the other playoff game in the league, Chincoteague, who we beat in homecoming, greatest game in school history from what time. They didn't even travel to come to play the playoff game. They just forfeited. So we showed up and we finished. That's what I'm really proud about with these guys. I didn't have to convince them to get on the bus. They wanted to get on the bus, and that's important to me. So build the character, all the team things that we do, some about in the next few years for life. That's, you know, it's more than football for me. I don't do it for the money or the football. I do it for the guys to make sure that they, you know, if every one of them knows they can call me at any time, you know, maybe not for my wife's sake around the clock, but whenever they need me, they know they can call me. And, you know, I love these guys, so I'll do whatever I need for them. So thank you guys for having us tonight.
Yeah. Wow.
I love them. They know it.
Yeah, we're really proud of you all for what you've done with the program and how you get behind things and you just move through it and the success you've had. And it's really been it's something that draws the community together. And so I hope you know how important it is and how proud we are of you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
He does a bad job bragging on himself, but I'm going to do a good job of it, or decent. One of the things, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that you want to inherit as a principal are coaches who understand that the big A comes before the little A. We all were in grade school and saw the letters on the top of the board. The big A is the academics. The little A is the athletics. It's important, but we're not going to lose any sleep if that doesn't happen. This man, Coach Stevens, Coach Lillard, the entire coaching staff, I'll see them after school in Coach Stevens' room, and they don't go over film first. They talk about character of manhood, of citizenship, how to be good students, how to be good young men. One day they'll be fathers, maybe, husbands, perhaps. And Coach Burks and Coach Stevens, Coach Lillard, and the staff, they do a good job pouring into the young men. And the football football takes care of itself. This season, Mr. Chairman, it took care of itself to a 6-4 winning record, and it took care of itself in the first school playoff visit in history. Second, the first plus one, two. The second in school history. And so these guys, they put in work that's just not seen on the practice field or the game field. It's the work that happens about 50 feet away from me. And I'm really proud of Beef and his entire staff. We had one young man, Kobe Paul, I'm gonna embarrass him. Stand up, son. Kobe had an event in the morning. I'm like, golly, this kid, he better come to this game. He had a very competitive event for horse racing that he does in Fauquier County. Finished that, drive 2.5 hours to Lynchburg, Virginia, pulled up, we was on the game for him a little bit, and he played his heart out along with the other young men on the team. That's the kind of character. That's the kind of diligence. That's the kind of people that we're breeding here. And Coach, we're just really proud of you, man.
Before you sit down, sorry. So we're gonna get the team up here on the stage. We get a picture. Holly's got a camera. We're gonna get a picture of you guys. You can go down the stairs and come up here. We're just all gonna gather here together.
Yeah. We're gonna let me go. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can we have a round of applause for the rides, also known as the parents of these players that came tonight as well?
We don't have much scoop to do around here.
Hey, I had to walk up here. Great job. Yeah. But I just now saw it. That was at 6:13.
I haven't seen anyone try to get it.
And I just text us engages on stage.
No.
To sit in the stands after all these years of listening to parents cheer, first down, ringing the bell, first down, and to watch these guys run and score and the crowd goes wild and all the kids and the students are just focused and enthused and the young kids are looking out the field thinking that's what we need one day. Oh, thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Cheer and go, that's my team, that's my team. Those are my kids. That is, guys so much.
On top of
Great
that,
season and great team.
on top of that, they had fun,
Yeah.
right?
Always fun to listen. Excuse them, or they.
No, I was gonna say, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but scholar athlete, right? Scholar for.
There is no penalty for getting up and going home. Right? And, but you are welcome to stay.
Go do your homework.
It will not reflect on you negatively.
Right here.
I'm sure you're probably working on homework, or
Yeah.
trying to get to bed early so you can perform better at school. Something's happening, right?
Let the deer live another day.
Thank you all for coming. Thanks for being here.
Awesome catch, Brandon.
Oh my gosh, amazing catch.
Really awesome.
I've watched it so many times.
Oh my God.
It was like ESPN.
I wish I was so far.
Oh man, so
I could
fun.
stay and,
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Good way to start a meeting.
Isn't it? Good idea, Mr. Seward.
All right, let's move on to donations.
I have two donations to the junior class prom. Vicky Cash donated $55. Jimmy Swindler donated $250. Ashley Mills donated $200 to the athletics. And I have two donations for the FFA, and that is Virginia Tech Foundation donated $1,000. Bruce and Ray Wines donated $100.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes from October 11th? So moved. We have a motion, Mr. Groves, is there a second? Second from Ms. Bynum. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. Mr. Grove, did you have opportunity to review the
I
minutes?
have, and everything is within normal limits.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? We have a motion, Mr. Uben, is there a second? Second from Ms. Bynum. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. Dr. Grimsley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first report of the superintendent is actually not one of my reports, but one of Kathy Zare Rhodes, our school psychologist. Last month was Bullying Prevention Month. So we've asked Kathy Zare Rhodes, who leads our Vegas bullying prevention team and a lot of many other things in the schools to update us on how that went.
Right, again, can you hear me like this, or do I need to hold?
I'm afraid if you don't hold it, you can hit the floor.
Now, what we might be able to do is turn the podium and put it lower. Can we have some help with that, Mr.
Just set
Stewart?
it straight down.
Yeah,
There you go.
and if we just turn it,
Yeah, see the podium's backwards.
yeah, it's sort of the, so if it stays,
Frank, water.
no, if you put it down at the bottom and keep it up pointing upward, maybe that'll help. Now it won't fall. There we go.
This is perfect.
Ta-da!
That's awesome.
One short person, understand?
Absolutely, I don't know about
Short
it.
person hack, okay.
Good evening, thank you for the opportunity once again to share what we've been doing this past month. So we've done a lot of activities, and we'll start with the second slide.
Okay. Come up here, Kathy, sorry, it's acting a little funny. All right, let's try this. There it is. Okay.
All right, so one of the activities was morning announcements, And the themes this year were kindness, bullying awareness, social isolation, and how do we support a friend. Some of the examples are, an example about bullying. If you see bullying, tell an adult you trust. Remember that reporting isn't tattling. Tattling is when you are just trying to get someone in trouble. Reporting bullying is stopping someone from getting hurt. There's another one, when you are kind to others, more people want to be around you. Being kind to others is one of the best ways to make and keep friends. Be the kind of friend that you want to be around. That's a good one for us to have. Another one, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. You know who that's from? Dr. Seuss. So one of the activities we did at elementary school was reading a book across the announcements. So we chose Enemy Pie by Derek Munson. This is a delightful story and it has a twist to it. So I think the students like that. And I also provided teachers with a number of books for different grade levels that they could choose from different students. If you remember a couple of years ago, I implemented a program from Sandy Hook Province, Start with Hello Week. And as you can imagine, their mission has been to reduce violence and increase school safety over the years. And so one of the ways of getting at that is to focus on reducing the social isolation of students, including students that tend to be left out. So I was happy to be able to put that back into our program again this year. So during the week of October 3 through 7, we focused on this program. And the 3 steps to the program include 1, see someone alone, recognize signs of loneliness and notice students are being left out. Number 2 is reach out and help. So think about ways you can help others, be part of your group. And then 3rd, start with hello, simply break the ice and start a conversation. So one of the activities was learning how to say hello in different languages, including American Sign Language. So one of our teachers, Elaine McCabe, she decorated if you can see behind you, she decorated her door with a number of pictures showing how to speak. Oh, do you have on your computer?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we don't have
great.
to twist her neck.
Great, that makes sense. So you can see some of those posted there. And so, for example, there was one that was Vietnamese, Si Chao. Another was Polish, Vitam, and Filipino, Kamusta. I hope I said those right. Another activity that we did was actually at the beginning of the week, we distributed colorful name badges and stickers to the students to greet each other and have their names present for other people to see. And then later in the week, I started something new. I gave all the students and staff colorful wristbands, like the kind that you would use like at a concert, things like that. And we mixed up all the colors, so when you saw another staff person or student in the hallway, if you saw a matching color, then you'd wave or greet that person. So I think the students like that, and the staff, it was kind of fun. Okay, we also had a spirit week like we usually do with themes related to bullying prevention. So this time we chose Everyone Counts, wear a shirt with a number, mix and match your friends list, where you wear mix and match clothes, time and out of friendship, when you wear a tie or a tie-dye shirt, and then be a team player. And on Friday, we wore spirit wear of blue and gold, and that was connected to the homecoming football game as well. So it kind of fit in there with our community. And then October 19th, we celebrated Unity Day. Students were encouraged to wear orange to show support for kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. And then we had a poster contest at the elementary school, and this year we had 38 posters. So that was kind of exciting. And I'm showing you here a picture of the winning one, and this is first place. And this was completed by Elsie Matthews, a 5th grade student. And I'll read some of she had a lot of messages on there. I'll read some of those. At the top, she says, stop bullying. Bullying stops here. Then that little square in the middle, she says, fun fact, if you report a bully, you are saving yourself and others. See something equals say something. And then she crossed out cyberbullying is not a good idea. And I have additional posters to show you. There's Yoda saying, stop bullying, you can. Stand up and be someone's Jedi. And another one was, don't be a bully, sprinkle the world with kindness. some others that were quite creative as well. And the last one I'll share with you. Blowing out someone's candle doesn't make yours burn any brighter. Isn't that great?
That's really good.
And the one student is saying, I hate you, and the other one's like, hey, stop. So I was really proud of these kids. And our art teacher, Amy Grady, was a big help with this. And one other thing that I decided to change this year, in the past we had the art teacher, myself, and a few others would judge the posters and choose. And this time I printed little ballots and I had all the students vote. So that was kind of fun to see how that worked out. And also it allowed them to read them all and process all these messages. So I thought it worked out very well. Another thing we did at the end of the month was give out a bookmark to all the students. So the younger students had bookmarks that said, be a kid against bullying, and there's a place where you can write your name to pledge against bullying. And then the high school students had bookmarks that said, teens against bullying, together we can create a world without bullying. And also I provide teachers with a lot of resources so that there's a lot of flexibility in how they want to approach this topic. So I prepared a list of short videos that range from age groups in pre-K all the way through high school. And then we have additional resources for them, like coloring pages and pop quizzes and the high school PowerPoint presentations, a TED Talk, and so forth. And I want to say again how appreciative I am. I think I mentioned this before. But having a morning meeting and seminar time built into the schedule allows us to do all these things. Without that, it's very difficult to squeeze in these important issues these issues are very important to me, and I know are important to our school. As a mental health leader here, I feel like this is vital. So I really am glad we have that set up. And the last part I'll mention is, as I mentioned before in past years, our pride clubs at the high school. Anyone remember what that stands for? I have a hard time remembering. Positive relationships inspire a drive for excellence. And the goal is to ensure that every student in our building belongs to a group or a club. And that builds community and it reduces social isolation, which of course, given the past few years, that's very important to all of us. And if you look at the next slide, I just listed the new ones they've added this year. So you can see quite a variety, ranging from white-tailed deer to Minecraft and athletic events, kickball, skating. Do you even know what poop is?
I do now.
I looked it up. It's like a Norwegian yard game. So I'm curious to see how that works out. So that is a summary of a lot of the things we've been doing this last month, and I appreciate, as always, your support of our bullying prevention program.
Well, thank you so much. And also, if you're aware, it's also National School Psychologist Week. So we are so grateful and thankful for everything that Kathy does. She's really such a hard worker, and she's so behind the scenes that, you know, it's really hard to know sometimes what she's up to, but the stuff that she does, she's really such a solid beating heart of so many programs here. So we adore you, and thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Very important role for us.
Oh my gosh.
For these young people. So grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, next on the report of the superintendent is the proposed budget calendar. So if this looks okay as a meeting schedule moving forward, we've been coordinating with Mr. Curry in his office as well to try to get all the dates aligned so everyone knows during budget development, which is coming up already, although I feel like it just really never ends. We're always thinking about budget, but here's the meeting schedule. So if we're okay with that, that is an action item. And of course, if changes have to be made, we could do that at subsequent meetings.
When I saw it, I was thinking some of these locations may have to change depending on school activities and whether we can get in this room or we have to relocate. So stay tuned. We'll make sure everyone knows where the meeting's at. This is our plan, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so you've talked to Gary and there is a plan for a joint meeting?
Yes, at this point, they find that very beneficial, especially since, you know, some of the work we've been doing with advocacy around certain issues with LCI, supplemental basic aid. It would be good to have an update at that point in time where we should know quite a bit by then.
Right. And so, and we met on the 19th of October here.
Mhm.
It was Orange Day.
Yes,
I
it
wore
was.
orange that day. I didn't want to feel left out.
It was the 19th. Yep.
But we met with Weaver
Mhm.
and Gary was here, Gary Curry, Debbie Donahue was here. So we met to discuss supplemental basic aid and the change that we're proposing and the strategy to achieve that. It's a very, very good time. And we got to tour the what do they call the FFA room?
The Ag Academy.
Ag Academy. We got to do a little tour there, which was fascinating. And, everybody loves seeing the rabbit run around. It was a great day.
Yes.
And we're gonna need to follow up, see if we can make that supplemental basic aid change happen, because it will have a great impact for our county.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
It seems to me too, that at that joint meeting, there's always something that we can try to do together as a letter, and we need to probably try that again. I mean, we certainly have content for when we should probably start forming.
The date is the 14th. That's a good time, because this will be the point in time in budget development where the committees, the appropriation committee, the school finance, Senate, on the Senate side will be, in the House appropriations committees will be tossing bills back and forth. And that's a good time to get in a joint resolution with both boards. It's a very powerful thing to a legislator to see, okay, two elected bodies are supporting the same thing. That's, means a lot. So.
Yeah. We've successfully done that for years. We should try to make sure this is on the plan for that. Good.
Thank you.
Any other comments about the schedule, the calendar? Thanks.
All right, and item 4.4 is our monthly well check. So, got a little bit of stuff going on. We're still using, of course, the same community transmission metrics to measure community transmission rates in our region and for communities. As of the last Rappahannock Rapidan report, still low in all 5 counties with COVID. Yes, that's good. COVID. So since the last meeting, we have experienced significant student and staff absences due to, you name it, we got it. Flu A, gastrointestinal, strep throat, upper respiratory illnesses. Every season there's over 200 of those. So there's a lot going on. But why is that? So we'll talk a little scientific here. I'm calling it immunity soup in our school. So what we have is, the COVID protocols that we've so well implemented over the last couple of years. They did disrupt what our regular exposure, especially in school community, to common illnesses that our immune systems usually build up those defenses to, your antibodies. Common illnesses and viruses, though, continue to mutate and change each year. So we haven't had that same exposure, of course, because of all those protocols we were using, and experts will call that an immunity gap. And it's normal, it's to be expected. They knew this would probably happen when everything started going back to normal. So the resuming of all our regular activities during an immunity gap causes kind of what we call the preschool effect. When you first send your kids into a school, what happens? Oh my gosh, the first year they have everything, they're sick every other month. So we're all experiencing a little bit of what the preschool effect is. So as we're resuming these regular activities, we're seeing compound illnesses, succession of illnesses. As a parent of 3, I can tell you, oh my goodness, I'll be happy when this year is over and we get into the regular rhythm of things with our immunity. But the positive thing is that will happen. It just takes some time, just like your child when they first go to daycare or school, they soon don't get sick as often, right? Because they're getting used to all the germs. I get this question sometimes, well, are you going to close schools? Because you have a lot of people out, and we do coordinate with our health department, epidemiologists regularly to just track illnesses, because when you see a large surge, especially anything over 15% of the same type of illness, you do want to look into it. Doesn't mean you're going to close for that. It just means they want to see if there's anything unusual about that strain. Are you seeing different types of symptoms than anywhere else? Because they're just watching for significant mutations. So that's why we coordinate with them. But why don't we close? And the health department will tell you the same thing. School closures were a protocol put in place during COVID because we didn't know anything about it. And they really had to do everything they could to stop the spread. There was, nothing known about the illness, no vaccine, very uncertain treatment options. But so since that time, with COVID, hospitalizations are way down, vaccines are now available, there's more effective treatment options, and far less people are losing their lives due to COVID, which is awesome. So it's done its job. And of course, we all learned what school closures really did to children in many other ways. It's a last resort. You only do that if you absolutely have to, because it is so detrimental to so many families and children in different ways. Our small enrollment helps with this a lot, limiting the need to close. Larger divisions that have so many students and not enough people to manage that have a harder time. Because we're so small, we do have sufficient staff usually to be able to cover. Yes, we are all working hard to cover each other, and the schools will call up to central office and we'll help do whatever we need to do. But it's not been to a point where we've been at a critical level where we'd have to even worry about considering closing. And the other thing to note is, yes, we're all kind of getting the crud going around, but the illnesses that we're all dealing with right now are common ones that we have many available and effective treatment options and decades of data to support how to do that. So it's not fun. This is an experience. Nobody likes being sick, and oh my goodness, we are having, a lot of kids miss school again, and that chronic absenteeism thing is always in our minds about accreditation, but we are still encouraging frequent hand washing, cover your coughs, encourage respecting personal space at school, don't share food and drinks, encourage healthy eating practices, build up your immunity. We try to distance kids when it's appropriate, increasing deep cleaning in the schools and disinfecting surfaces, continuing to monitor our air quality and maintain our purification systems. That's important too. And we, again, continue to monitor illness trends and collaborate with VDH weekly on that. So we do talk to our epidemiologists and seeing the same exact thing everywhere. So it's not unique to us. But the big thing is we are encouraging, please stay home when you're sick. Do not send your child back to school until they are fever-free for at least 24 hours without fever-reducing medicine. And that's when, it's our old protocol to come back, and that's when it's supposedly they're not so contagious. So
No way to enforce that though.
well, if they come in and we have a fever, then we can send them home. But yeah, and the thing is, some of these successive illnesses aren't very severe, so kids may just have something for a while, and you can't keep them home forever. So it's just the fever that we. Yeah.
Students, I don't know, I read somewhere today that we had 200 kids out.
Not 200. 100, no, 170.
Okay, almost,
yeah,
whatever.
almost.
Is the state aware? I mean, every one of these absences affect our absenteeism.
Yep.
And I would hope that the state is taking that into consideration all over the state. I mean, people, I know in Northern Virginia, it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They're ready to close some schools, but
yeah, so the state, they haven't indicated that they are taking it out of accreditation, but all of the groups that I'm involved in and are politely, respectfully asking them to reconsider based on the current climate.
Would it help the board to remind them?
Yes.
Would it help the board, the school board, to remind the Department of Education that this is it's kind of a epidemic, if not a pandemic, kind of situation as far as accreditation goes.
Yeah, and it's almost, it's silly to think that we should be looking at that right now and holding schools accountable for what we're experiencing. We want people to be well and in school, but we don't want them here when they're sick. We're going to encourage them to stay home.
Exactly,
so
right.
it's it's sort of a double-edged sword with mixed messaging, and it would really help a lot if the state would, get our back on that. So yes, I think letters can help. If we wanted to do a school board letter to the Department of Ed, that would be fine. And I know there is already a legislative priority list from Bass. The SBA, I'm sure we'll talk about that next week as well at the conference. So that's a good time to talk to some people and drum up some support.
For the superintendent groups coming together. to do
Oh,
that
yes.
as well?
This is one of our high priorities that everybody agrees with, that we're all advocating for in our regional groups as well, so.
Yeah, but I think one point to make in that is that it's harder to keep kids on track during this kind of time in schools that are attaining passing test scores during a time, communicating well enough with families and catching kids up. They should get a gold star, as far as I'm concerned. So I think I really think that even flipping it and saying it's not just,
Yeah,
that our teachers do follow up with kids and are.
yes. I think that would be a great alternative measure to look at. Where did we see high chronic absenteeism, but did not see a dip in academics? Those are the schools you want to look at what they're doing, so.
And that's something that some people are, I think that we're doing that, and with keeping our online education available. I think that we're doing that to students as they're feeling better, maybe they're eager is at the tail end.
Yeah.
It should be one of our whereas statements.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Because
going the extra mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think we're doing. We're trying to. Well, we're confident.
Yeah, yeah,
maybe we could touch on that for next month.
sure. Mhm. Thank you. All right. And that concludes the reports of the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to headwaters representative. Ms. Palmer.
Yeah, it's a chance to meet with Mr. Nolan last week, and things are going along well with Headwaters. The first after-school program is in full swing and getting activities lined up for the next semester. The program would like to work together with us to have the students utilize maybe some of our regular school buses to transport kids to after-school satellite locations like the martial arts class. Another discussion around that. Next session, they hope to offer theater arts and in partnership with RAC, the volunteers or people from RAC might help with that. Scholarship season starts in December, and there's an ever-expanding list of local scholarships available, including from nonprofits like the Rappahannock Garden Club, RAC, and RLEP. And this year, there's going to be a pilot program for seniors to have coaches help them proofread and prepare their scholarship applications, kind of similar to the mock interview and resume work, which is a good idea because you can use that help. Really good idea. And then Read is going well this year. There are 11 students and 18 volunteers currently involved, and there's capacity to expand and add more kids to the program. After PALS testing, as that happens, maybe more students will be identified. This is Read. Yeah, it's going in conjunction with after school program at this time. So on 2 days a week, the volunteers come in, and they're individually paired. But there are more volunteers than kids, 11 kids and 18 volunteers. So they're out there ready to assist our young readers. And then the Dolly Parton Imagination Library has 130 kids, ages 0 to 5 signed up, so that will help us move on friends for people coming in. And it will be a year old and having a birthday party soon. So that should be fun. And then this is maybe the most exciting news. The first ever NPCF Youth Infinite Pleasure Grant was awarded to Headwaters. And when I talked with Mr. Nolly, she said that it was the toughest interview that she's had. When you have a bunch of teenagers asking you don't know what they're going to ask you, and they're taking it seriously. It seems like a program that got the kids excited to, and it wasn't just Rappahannock students; it was the whole region that NPCF serves. It's a $10,000 grant, which is good news because it can be used to help fund Jenny Capsa, who's the profile of the graduate coordinator, her position, and continue on. So that's great work. Good for keeping your head up during that tough interview. And that's what I have.
Good news.
Yeah.
great partner. Thank you all.
Mhm.
MVGS?
Yes, we did meet. There will be a Mountain Vista Governor's School at Laurel Ridge visitation on November the 16th from 9:45 to 1:15. And students will sign up for that. And I think we're going to bus them all. If it's 2 buses, we'll take 2 buses. If it's 3, we'll take 3, whatever it takes. We'll get them all over there. But they need to sign up with their counselor. The tuition for students has gone up. It's gone up $605.04. Over the 4 cents per student. Per student,
Yeah.
right. It'll be about a $4,800 hit to us.
605.
And basically, that was the big news. We did have some demonstrations of STEM groups from Culpeper High School, or the Culpeper school system. Really interesting, nice, good stuff. Maybe we'll start meeting back in Warren County. We don't have a very good track record of people showing up to these satellite school districts.
Well, it's hard when you've been parking in different school districts. It's a new thing. You have to give yourself like 20 minutes to figure out, okay, especially at an 8 o'clock meeting when you've got the buses running and parent pickup and all that. Oh, I don't know this routine.
It was getting there and getting settled was a zoo.
Oh my goodness.
But, we got there, whatever. But maybe we'll go back to Warren where it's nice and calm. It was a good idea.
I like the idea. Maybe we change the time just a little later so we don't hit that rush in the morning.
We'll figure out something. Maybe I can do that unilaterally.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
There you go. All right, that's all we do.
Mr. Grove is the chairman of the,
Right.
you're the chairman this year.
Yes.
Mountain Vista.
Mhm.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, moving on to information items. Capital conference, I didn't see the date on that.
January 30th through 31st.
So check your schedule and see if that's something that you want to work in your calendar. Talk about it next month. Anything on that? The next thing was the policy updates. So we've had these for a month. We'll be voting on them tonight. And in case you're wondering which policy it is, it's the one that speaks to parental involvement in texts that are used in the classroom. Visibility, transparency of what's in the textbooks, and what basically the impact of Governor Young coming in and saying parents are going to be a vital part of what the selection is and how the materials police content. So that's what's in that policy. It's in accordance with the guidance from the state and from the SBA on the languages in our policy. Any comments about that?
Pretty close to what we always have.
Yeah, basically, we've always had an open door policy with any of our materials and any supplemental resources that deviate from our pacing guides and regular curriculum have to go through principal approval. But this just lays it out a little more clearly, so parents do have that option. But that's all, if any parent ever asks to see anything that we're using, they could do that. Mhm.
Right. This was not an issue here,
No,
but it's something that we need to adopt. We need compliance, and it's not hard because we were already doing.
It's not really making a fundamental change.
No real change for us,
no.
In
but
this
it's
particular
impacted
school
many
district.
counties, not this district.
It won't impact us.
So
There weren't many.
Self-police.
Cross-outs.
So we've been
It just shows you how good we've been.
exactly.
Transparent, right?
Yeah.
Very reasonable.
It's the 15th, 2015 is the last time.
Wow.
Or 19, I
Yeah.
guess.
All right. public comment. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board this evening? Anybody? Yes. Ma'am.
Hopefully I'm doing this correctly.
Name,
My name is Nikki Henry
Nikki, and
in Wakefield District. Wakefield District. My son started at the elementary school this year, pre-K. And there was 2 incidents last week with the school bus that I was concerned about. The first of which was on Halloween. That afternoon, he rides 2 different school buses, one from one location in the morning and one to a different location in the evening. That evening, a car blew through the clearly stopped school bus. Lights on, flashing. I was about a foot from the road, almost hit me. That information, the bus driver said she would relay to the bus shop and have them look into. That was on Monday. Wednesday, I had to contact the sheriff's office for something and ask them about the information if they had found anything out, and it was never relayed to them. They called the bus shop and they were informed that they were too busy to review the footage. So I was curious with that, what is happening, if anything's gonna happen. I know the vehicle, it had out-of-state plates, but it lives on Eileen.
I'm sure it will be researched. Is there anything else?
Friday evening, my son, the bus that he rides in the evenings, was 30 minutes late. No information was given of what was happening, why he was late, where he would be. He ended up on a separate school bus with double the amount of kids for almost 2 hours. Yes. No notification was made. When I contacted the school, they transferred me to the school bus office. I spoke to a gentleman who told me they didn't have time to send out an emergency message. When I explained that I know it takes a short amount of time to send out that message, I was pretty much told we just messed up. But I wasn't the only person who didn't know. I hope that many people have concerns about their children and not showing up 30 or more minutes late.
Okay, well,
I reached out to Cuban. I also reached out to the principal and vice principal of the elementary school. They said that they were also not aware of any incidents Friday afternoon with school buses and being combined or being late.
anything else? All right. Thank you for sharing that. And, I'm sure we'll follow up. We got your name, right?
Nikki.
Yes.
Henry. All right, we'll follow up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else this evening? All right, moving on to action items. Is there a motion to approve the budget calendar?
So
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Rubin. Mr. Grove. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It's ordered. Is there a motion to adopt the policy changes? We have a motion, Mr. Rubin. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Meyer. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It's ordered. New business. There is a school board conference next week. Several of us are going to be at that. This year, you, Larry, are coming down Thursday morning.
I'm gonna come on.
So I'm going to be going down Wednesday night. Finals down Wednesday night.
Or the afternoon.
So that's where we're like. The clerks there. Are they having the clerk conference at the same time? Again?
Yes, it's on Thursday. For a different
Okay.
the delegate assembly will be held Thursday at noon
Thursday.
location.
Online.
online. No, this Thursday,
Oh, this
Ah.
oh, a week early.
this coming Thursday. You can come to my
Living room. That's nice.
Zoom it in.
All right. So that's happened. Is there any other new business?
Yes, I've had a few questions asked of me about the way that scheduling and block scheduling in the high school works. And I think there has been some ongoing, like some parents have expressed, my student either has all of their difficult classes in one semester or no difficult classes in one semester. I was just curious if we could understand what we should, or what, like how that process works, and if there is consideration given to having a sort of even academic load for students. And I'm curious about that, and sort of developmentally, our block scheduling does seem to kind of push people ahead on some things and then stop, and then it just seems a little choppy of an educational experience that some parents are talking about. So I'm just curious to understand that, and if we have, I know there are many barriers to having a very smooth schedule, but I would be interested to understand any creative ideas we have around scheduling with sort of even load in mind for students. That's the thing that's come up several times.
Are you thinking that would be a good thing to be brief to us?
Just to understand and then to kind of throw out
The pros and
ideas.
cons of block versus alternate day versus,
Why we do the way we do, and if
there's
there's
a number of ways. I know there's some financial considerations that have to be dealt with. Well,
Yes, and I was lucky enough to be the Karen Ellis before academic services coordinator the last time that we did. And this does take a large study to do a whole analysis of comparing each of the schedules. But if I remember correctly, there was an implication at that time of over $300,000 to switch to just a regular 6 or 7 period year-long scheduling. But there are a whole lot of factors, like you said, our size, the number of students declining, the number of teachers you have to have, grad requirements, how that looks. So the priority that we always have in locking in the schedule, of course, grad requirements first. What does the data say that students need to have? And it sort of funnels down from there, and those things lock in your schedule in any type of schedule you would use. But it's certainly something we can bring the high school administration and guidance to explain how it works.
Understand how it works, and sort of understand if there's any little tweaks we can do.
Yes.
Choose to offer an even amount of rigorous classes in each semester or something. Like, I don't know whether there is. I really don't have a scheduler, but I just do know that
Yeah.
I'm concerned with the number of
The
parents.
same thing before, prepare.
Yeah.
The kids have, homework back, next semester versus. Let's say with their.
And they kind of get used to one pattern and then they can't ramp it up when they're ready.
That's where the alternate day approach to things work out, a little bit better.
Like, we'll just make informational file.
Right, and I know Mr. Seward too, coming into us, having a year under his belt now, has a lot of ideas for scheduling and starting the process a whole lot earlier to really map out and then have a lot more communication with parents and things. I think that's going to be a huge help to some of this. So I'm excited to see how that goes this year. He has some really ambitious goals for that. We'll see. I trust him. He can do it. He says he can do it.
Carlos?
Yes. Yeah, really ambitious.
Because I've heard a lot of parents just, I don't know if they can or they can't, but most of them seem not to know that they can if it's an option. And they found that night, they're like, well, now what we do, now we gotta let you do this, do that. I hear that every single year.
Yeah, I hear that.
It could be a really good time to just find out.
We need to understand it.
Well, to see if we can, if it's possible, there's enough time to
But
do.
even if we did the January, one of those January meetings and use this as a topic of discussion.
Just be good to get a brief.
And And that would be great ahead of the new plan of study and things, just to let people know it's out there and give it some, because yes, we do want more involvement with our families in that. And I know Ms. Pond does a really amazing job meeting with every single student and calling the parents and working that out ahead of time, but things do change sometimes when you see that. So it'd be good to kind of get how Mr. Stewart is revamping reimagining. That's what he said. Yeah, the process.
In my experience, you can do both. I mean, you can do some block and you can do some alternate day. And I know we've done that with some year-long math courses or some year-long English courses, alternate day. But it's a matter of, it's like we used to say with the master schedule, it's a puzzle that nobody wants.
Yeah, it can be difficult just in terms of a student retaining information from 2 years ago versus 1 year ago. Just thinking in high school, you know, when you're taking the SAT, you're going to be tested on geometry, and if you were early in geometry, you could be at a disadvantage even as an accelerated student, having had more than a year since having had that. That's one example of it.
So maybe if January is a better time, it gives more time to.
It's a complicated question.
Well, for a future item, if it makes sense to do it next month, if not, then we can push it to by January. That would be fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't want to push it too quick.
Yeah.
The next meeting's going to come pretty quick.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think it's great. Good deal. Topic. Are there any other ideas, requests for future items?
Can we get an update from the transportation division on how we're doing with recruitment?
Yeah.
The status of the shop.
Good news.
I think.
Sure, and since that is new business that's come up this evening, I have asked Mr. Tupper to be here tonight in case you wanted him to give an update. He does have a lot of things going on in transportation. I think it would be helpful to the conversation.
Great. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Tupper.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I think we lost. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm going to answer that question. That was Friday. I did say we messed up. I did say that. We messed up. We didn't communicate. It was a very last minute change. My lead mechanic called the elementary school and said, we got to combine 2 routes, 24 and 26. There's so many variables it would take me the rest of the night to tell you. But I can tell you that Mr. Euban was involved in one of the variables that morning with that particular route. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's a beautiful one.
So
Did someone contact her to explain all that?
I talked to her.
Okay.
And I tried to explain to her. I said, I understand where you're coming from. She said, I don't think you understand this. Yes, I do. And then, now she's here, she was satisfied with it. So anyway, and again, my gruff attitude that she made comment about was probably rough because I was disappointed in us in that part of the process. It's been a very frustrating year because you see this thing coming. We are in desperate need, like every division in the state, as far as bus drivers. If you read all the articles, there are organizations that are doing away with routes. I don't know what those parents do. I guess they're bringing them to school, like many of ours do now. But we've been able to maintain routes for the most part. But things happen. Drivers get sick. You find subs, and then this particular day, because of protocols, we didn't have anybody else put the seat. So we had to last minute because we thought we were going to be able to get that person in the seat at the end of the day. And we didn't know when we could. So anyway, we combined right, and it was a perfect storm. This particular, where this child lives happened to be in pre-K, and it was the very last stop of that route because we had to do the route first with the driver. The good thing was I had the regular driver in a seat behind the 24 driver with her students. So I could put her in that seat. So the child got delivered, all the children got delivered safely. It did take a little bit longer. They weren't on the bus for 2 hours. They were on the bus for about 20 minutes longer. Again, the positive thing is we've been working really hard to try to, every year our bus drivers get their ridership settled in. That's everybody that's on there, each driver connects with every student in their stop, what route they're on, the time they pick them up. So when we get calls, we can say to the parent, this is the time you need to be there. And that changes every year. The other thing that changes every year is the stuff that goes in our database. So if I go into Power School right now and I say, I want everybody on bus 1, which I can do, it's going to give me a list. Unfortunately, you got to correlate that list to the ridership, and it doesn't always correlate. So you've got to go in and fix that. That's what we're in the process of doing. So the goal is, and what we will do, I'm promising you, board, and everybody that's listening out there on the TV where I usually listen to, that I hope to have, and it's going to really, the parents and everybody's going to have to help with this because addresses change, contact information changes. But we're going to have each bus will have a group number. So I can ask Holly or any of my people that can do that mass communication, press the button for that particular bus and say, this bus will be late arriving or whatever information we need to get to those parents and those students in an emergency situation.
You can do that by text.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes.
Robocall.
We can.
Need the data.
Well, we've talked about this since it's happened, and Mr. Tupper's really put into action a lot with Mr. Payne as soon as it happened. Nobody likes to mess up as you took it, but we do apologize. That was an oversight, and it's inexcusable. We need to communicate to parents when their kids are going to be late, especially for any significant amount of time. If I have to call them myself, we got to do that. So I really apologize. I wish the parent had stayed to hear the update, but I'm sure she'll get the message. But and Mr. Euban, if you can relay back to her, that would be great. But we are putting in place a lot of action steps to be sure that that doesn't happen anymore. So we have new communications. We have to get those databases all updated with the correct information. So yes, you can hit a button, bus 24. Though we were trying to avoid over blasting messages to everyone that rides a school bus because that's the easy default. But something else we can do that I've seen in other districts, they just post a message on social media that says bus 24 delayed 20 minutes, expect delays. Even if we can't get the individual calls right away, everybody seems to monitor Facebook and if we start an Instagram. So if we start saying, just watch for that and we'll have a transportation alert if there are delays. But it doesn't happen often. This was one incident that we've had. So hopefully we can clean that up, but they have a plan, they have backup plans. They've really been working hard to say, worst case scenario, if we had this many drivers out, what would we do? So there's been a lot of that back planning. So we just need to strengthen the notification process. And I think we have a solid plan. So thank you, Mr. Tupper, for putting that in place.
I think
How many substitute drivers do we have?
so. With the support of the high school administration, I have a substitute here in this building. And one other one.
Okay, two.
That's correct. So like everybody else, we're trying to come up with ways to increase our application pool. And trust me, we're not going to just pipeline people like this to turn them down, just load up the files and call them. We need people. And we're ready to hire people. Obviously, they got to fill out an application, they have to be interviewed, and then they've got to get their training. So the training that we will do, there's 54 total hours of training that has to take place. 24, 25 of those are classroom hours. So I've appealed to our trainers. Gary Goble is one of our lead bus drivers. He's one of our major trainers. He's trained several people driving that bus one, one of those recent hires. So in the process, what we're doing is we're getting approval. We hope from DOE to say, because I feel certain they're going to say okay to a Zoom virtual meeting, if I can't make it an in-person class with them, to get my training. However, if I'm busy at work one night and I'm in that training group and I can't make that live Zoom, can I watch the recorded and still get credit for that time? So those are things, once we work that out, which I'm convinced we will. I've contacted Carrie Miller at VDOE. They're the head transportation. I can't imagine they're going to say no to that, given the fact that it's so problematic right now for us. That training still will consist of that book, the book part of it, and then the other part will be behind the wheel for so many hours with a trainer, and then behind the wheel with a trainer and students for so many hours. Once they get that, they take their test. So the incentives Dr. Grimsley's willing to do, and the board will support, is we're going to pay for all their training like we normally do. We're going to pay for their license, pay for their physical, give them a sign-on bonus, and give them a seat. And I mean, we're going to broadcast that information, and I just, I'm hoping people will at least will get 2 or 3. We've had people call, and they're in the process of getting their learner's permit, but they haven't been able to commit. One person said, if I get it, I can only drive on Friday afternoons. We'll take it, but some people are reluctant. So
one of the things that I know a friend of mine who runs a transportation thing has done is that he has given a sign-on bonus for new drivers, but he also gave a bonus to the driver who brought that person in. So the driver who brought his brother in to get trained is getting a $250 sign-on bonus. So it's another avenue. Might cost a few more bucks. So we've got drivers who I knew who have family that could drive. If they were both getting a sign-on bonus, that might be an incentive to bring people in from that perspective. Pardon?
Recruitment assistance.
Yeah, so it's
like a headhunter bonus.
It's a headhunter bonus.
I
So
like
it's another avenue. I don't know whether we've thought of that or not.
It's a great idea. In fact, it's funny you mentioned that because I talked to one of the custodians who works here at the high school. He was over in the range, so I talked to some of his buddies over there in Hayes to come over and try us.
Yeah.
And he should get something for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
in my opinion.
Word of mouth, spread the word.
I mean, that's how you spread the word. You let the folks that are doing it bring people in.
Actually, that's not a bad idea for any vacancy that we have in the system. Referral bonus is referred by someone internally, very valuable. That's somebody that's going to stick with you.
Yeah,
usually.
I love that idea. Yeah. It's a
So
good
we
one.
should probably formalize the referral bonus just generally. I think.
I love it.
I just said, bring them in. The referral bonus, that's.
I like it.
That's a good way to go.
It's a good investment, actually.
Totally. I really like that idea.
Did you still get an update in January, going into budget season, in case we need to do something more?
where we are as far as
Add with hiring bus drivers
For transportation.
Yep.
I think that's a great idea.
Recommendations for pay increase.
Well, also we'll know, we should have some idea then what we're gonna have returning. I guess that's a closed session conversation, but I already have Al and Chris working on combining routes, because here's the good thing. We currently have a route, it's bus 5 and 15. It covers the Summer Flint Hill, Huntley area, and Chester Gap. It does not last, and we're, it's working. She's finished. You figure all the buses are on the road, that's in about 3:30 in the afternoon, and she's clear about 4:30. So there you go. That's a combined route. Most of these routes can be combined because our buses aren't obviously full. So what they've done is they've come up with several routes that we combine and keep the kids on the bus not longer than an hour, which I think is pretty good when you compare it to others. So So there's a lot of work going in to prepare for the worst. And I hope and pray that we can bring some new people in. But, you know, if you look at our drivers, they're getting to the point where they can say, hey, I'm going to do something else.
I just wanted to get back to what I heard the woman who spoke say was that I think she said she had called the school and the people at school were not aware of anything happening. And we definitely in that communication tree, it needs to, because I don't always get texts that go, all of us go in and out of electronic communication or don't think it's this new system. It's definitely important that whoever answers the phone at our business or at our school knows what's going on. And that person should be included, you know, very explicitly because as a parent, you know, it's terrifying if your kid is not there and nobody knows where your kid is. And we just need to make sure that at any point, you know, there's no wrong door to find that information out where your kid might be. You know?
So I believe the person she spoke to, they had the elementary school had to know because they had.
Yeah, I don't know. Might have been wrong.
So I know the person that I spoke to that stays by the phone because the staff stays in the school in case a bus calls and says, I need you to call a parent, you know, if they're not in the stop.
Right.
So after I talked to that parent, I called the person at the elementary school. Yeah, I spoke to that person too and tried to tell them that.
Yeah, I mean, there can be mistakes, but just
So,
make sure that person's on the list.
Yeah,
I don't know who she spoke to either.
That could have been anybody. But
Well, and that's our safety protocol too. So I do want to clarify that the front offices have the bus radios on anytime buses are on the road with the bus shop. So we have that communication constantly going. So they're listening to the radio traffic to be able to contact parents immediately. And I hear it too from Mike's office all the time. And they have such a well-oiled machine. If a bus driver's on the radio calling, hey, can you call so-and-so's mom, not at the bus stop. As soon as I come back around, I got to drop them off. Oh, yep, mom's here. And they've already called it. It's really neat to see. So they do have it ready when all the buses are running. So it depends on, I guess, who they talk to. But the person who's at the lead communication post is the one that has the radio and the phone. So we have that in place as a safety measure too. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the first concern she had?
In reference to
The car blowing by the bus and.
I have never seen that staff in the office. If they were reported, there's a camera on that bus that they can view, they don't have to tell anybody. I mean, I'm gonna research it because I knew nothing about that.
Yeah, that concerns me. If the driver didn't report it or didn't see it, I guess that could happen. But if the sheriff's department didn't know about it, then that's not a good thing.
No, and our drivers are adamant about
I
that.
know that Chris is really good about pulling me in every morning, hey, the bus is way fast.
Yeah.
You know, let's go watch the tape. I've never had it done.
Now,
I've worked stuff from the day before, if it happens in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They call the next morning and report a tournament or whatever, but.
Oh my
I've never
gosh.
seen it.
No, our guys will like lose sleep over that. They watch that footage. They, you know, I've seen a couple of the tapes, so it's something we take super seriously. So we'll look into that request too.
Yeah,
But
She said she was standing there and saw it, so I don't.
yeah, I didn't hear it. But
so yeah,
It also depends if, you know, on the tape, if you can see the padding, if you know who it is. There's a lot of it goes into it.
and
there is, yeah.
we've equipped few of our buses where most of those situations occur. Bus 6 and bus 1. I don't know if bus 26 has a camera, but they have an inside camera sometimes to pick up at least the make and model of the car. What I'm hoping when I investigate it tomorrow that we can look at the tape. If we don't see it, we get the make and model. Maybe she sounds like that person.
She knows where they live.
Friday.
Friday. He's not working Friday.
Crystal will get it.
I'm sorry.
Another avenue might be, you know, deputies are off 3 days a week, basically. Maybe they'll drive.
Well,
Get
Ooh,
the train
come on.
There you go.
on their days off.
I will add.
I can't see over.
I will add that morning.
I hear you.
A little minor traffic thing. Mr. Hugo was there. He did the same thing I did when the bus came in the shop. I looked at that tire and I said, man, it's amazing that thing, how do you get air? Because the rim was bad. And it looked like it had air. And Al looked at me like I was, are you serious? It was totally flat, but because it was an outside tire, it was holding up. But my point is that it's a fine example of how quickly, you all know, 647 is pretty fast. It's narrow, it's paved, but it's narrow, and it's got a lot of turn. This wasn't the worst turn that but they responded rather quickly. And Al did too, because I had a call, he was getting the bus out there, and they got back on the road. It was the first stop. Most kids were in school all the time. And all those students that were on that bus that happened were contacted. So I just want to say, and I told her, it bothers me because I've always wanted to be perfect about how we work with, and it's frustrating when you got people working with us. So I just want to say.
And I guess, that we do need to follow up with Nikki.
Yeah.
And
All right. Well,
maybe
thanks for the-
somebody, I know you say it at the beginning, but I'm not sure she understood that we couldn't respond to her concerns.
Yeah, we're not supposed.
We're not supposed to.
I did respond to her to say we'd be getting back to her. Yep, so we will. That's all.
And I recorded this too, so she can go back and review the link. We'll post the link. So if she wants to go back and hear exactly what was said, but she'll get a call from our office to follow up too. And Mr. Euban, if you don't mind too, since you were the one she reached out to. And my office door is always open too. I didn't hear about it either, so.
And the last thing I just want to say, Mr. Grove, you asked about the time the cross country team is leaving Friday, it's 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Okay, good to know.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Tupper.
Mr. Tupper.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thanks for coming tonight. Clearing things up.
Yes.
All right. All right. Our next regularly scheduled, is there any other requests for future agenda items? I mean, I have to ask, right? So, the next regularly scheduled school board meeting is December 13th. Be here before you know it. And at this time, is there a motion to go into closed session?
There is. I move the board convene in closed session for the following purposes: discuss and consider the appointment of staff for classified position, coaching position, resignation of classified position, the sick leave bank request pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1.
Mr. Rose, or second? Second, Mr. Euban, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. We're going to go into closed session. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes and conclude tonight's meeting. You want to hang out? No hard feelings.
That's why they want me to record.